There's a little bit of a meme that happens in the gaming industry, and it's basically this: Valve will do nothing, yet for some reason always win. And you kind of see it happen in real time over the past 20 plus years, actually. You've seen company after company go up and try to attack Valve in every sense, yet for some reason, every time they pull their games away from that storefront and platform, they lose every single time. A great example would be Ubisoft themselves. They pulled away all their games to launch their Ubisoft Plus program, yet here we are watching them crawl on their hands and knees back to Steam and Gabe. Electronic Arts did the exact same thing. They pulled all their games away, yet turned right around and launched Battlefield 6 day and date on Steam as well. It looks like that no matter what, people are going to go where their library is the deepest and when they're treated the best. And usually just not being treated like dirt is more than enough for consumers to say, yeah, that's where I want to spend my money. But it turns out that may not be the only place moving forward, because even though Epic Games has been trying to compete with Steam directly, it looks like that there are actually two more competitors in this space that could give Steam a run for their money, especially with what's been going on in PC gaming. According to WCCF Tech, the PC market saw a 9.6% growth in Q4 of 2025, driven by a buying spree prompted by the imminent memory crisis. This is incredibly important information because what we're seeing right now is, even though there is a massive shortage across RAM, SSDs, GPUs, power supplies, and we're seeing price increases across the board, even for standard consumers, people are going out and panic buying these products, trying to get some sort of at-home compute power before everything collapses around them. We're basically living again through the Ethereum and even NFT craze all over again. Turns out it's like every 3 years something wild has to happen in PC gaming. But the problem is this is going to be impacting everybody as well, because we've been seeing so many other companies move into PC gaming and start trying to stake their own claim into what they should be doing with the PC platform at all. And even at the worst case scenario, even calling Valve and Steam a monopoly. Now, clearly anybody worth their salt knows that's not exactly true. You can't call a company a monopoly simply because that's the one place everybody likes to go and put their games and spend their money. What you are seeing, though, is 100% pure jealousy and inability to, in fact, even compete with a company like Steam. And if Valve's Steam Machine even gets put out into the market at a somewhat comparable price, you're going to be seeing competition being increased even further, especially on the hardware side. But there's more to this article by WCCF Tech, so let's go from there. The article says the first reason cited is the end of Windows 10 support on PCs and the move to the new Windows 11 OS. This prompted a refresh cycle as several vendors brought up their new Windows 11 and Copilot ready PC devices to the market. The second was to beat the looming tariffs, which had affected a majority of PCs and respective products throughout 2025, though those are in control as of right now since no major tariff bump has been announced in a while. But the most important reason is that every PC vendor went into a major rush, pulling forward inventories to tackle the upcoming memory shortages and supply constraints. As we know, the DRAM market is a huge mess right now, with the bulk of supply gobbled up by AI data centers. This leaves little to no supply for the PC market, which caters to consumers. And it's not just DRAM. NAND-based SSDs and other components are also expected to see shortages and huge price hikes in the coming months through 2026 and even up to 2028. And all these things impact the Steam Machine directly and also impacts the coming generation of consoles directly. We've seen a huge downturn in actual hardware sales, especially with what happened in last November. We've also seen right now as well that more younger people are not in fact buying new gaming consoles and systems. What they're doing instead is playing consistently free-to-play games and spending money on there, or having their new waifu and their latest gacha game on their phone. Besides those major distractions, though, we're also seeing these game companies like PlayStation, Microsoft, and even Nintendo raise the prices of their consoles on a consistent basis. So they are going up in price, becoming more expensive, having less product to even purchase, and then at the same time, more people are gravitating towards PC. We're seeing PlayStation put their games on PC. We're seeing Xbox go day and date on PC. We're even seeing other PC companies try to compete with Steam directly. In fact, all of this could come to a head when one company could explain exactly the right way to beat Steam at their own game. According to VGC, saying, quote, "You don't want to wrestle Goliath. GOG bosses say the aim is not to defeat Steam, but to better it in certain areas, like the handling of classic games." If you aren't aware about what just happened recently, GOG separated itself from CD Projekt, which means that they're no longer beholden to all those corporate shareholders that are part of CDPR. So all the issues that GOG may have been dealing with could effectively be fixed if they're more streamlined and provide a better user experience overall. A lot of people have been moving towards GOG after Steam has been dealing with a lot of censorship issues as well, via merchant banks or even the government itself. And the thing is, GOG has stood on their own morals and principles and said, no, we're not going to censor games. We're going to provide a curated list of games that people want to play on our storefront and even platform. And I think that's where people can actually gravitate to other places besides Steam and offer true competition in the first place. But it looks like the owners of GOG had more to say. In a new interview with GamesIndustry.biz, Kaczynski and managing director Maciej Golubowski were asked how GOG hopes to compete against Steam and its near monopoly of the PC market. Kaczynski replied that attempting to match Steam like for like would be a bad idea because GOG has already established itself as a storefront that goes in a different direction, thanks to its focus on older games and its pledge to release games DRM-free. Despite this, he claimed that Steam is winning with its ease of use and that when it comes to improving its own company's user experience, he believes much can be done in GOG without losing its core values. I honestly feel like that last part, that little section at the very end, Kaczynski hit the nail on the head. Everyone has been trying to compete with Valve in the wrong way. They've been going against it either by trying to do deals, exclusivity, all the things that don't matter to PC gamers. Yet for some reason, they choose to ignore the main things that do, providing a sense of community, having the ease of use, having a good user interface, having the ability to go through and easily uninstall games, install them, provide proper customer support for their own accounts, and even then providing a good way of actually getting refunds for your video games, unlike PlayStation and what they've been doing recently as well. Because if you want to see a horrible refund policy, that's one of the worst. But the thing is, you're not going around and seeing Steam as one of the good guys. What you're seeing instead is who their competition actually is and who competes with Valve. And it turns out it's not Microsoft, it's not GOG, it's not Epic, it's not anybody in the gaming space, except for their customers. You see, Valve is the one place and the one company I've noticed besides, let's say, Grinding Gear Games that literally goes through and listens to what the customers actually want, the feedback that is proposed, and then they go around and they fix the problem quickly for that user base on a consistent basis. The Steam Deck is a perfect example. When it first launched, it was pretty much hard to use, but yet very quickly and hot off the heels of its release, you could get massive updates basically day over day that had so many issues and problems fixed very quickly for people that bought this device. And you can expect the same kind of behavior with the Steam machine as well, creating a massive layer of Proton on their own and going through and providing compatibility layers and making them open source for other users to provide as well, crafting Steam OS, removing all the AI garbage that you have with Microsoft and Windows, and just having your own system and your own personal compute power, yet still being attached to Steam on top of it. While every company is trying to exert control over all of your devices, Valve says we're going to go in the opposite direction. We're going to hand you the keys to the castle, give you control of your own operating system and your own hardware as well, without having to deal with us getting in your way. And that's the entire antithesis of why Valve does nothing and still keeps winning. What they're doing instead is they do everything for the customer and consumer first, and then they earn your respect that way. And I think that's what people are in fact missing, because back in the day, everybody hated Steam and everybody hated Valve, and it took them 20 plus years to turn things around. The article continues by saying this: Steam is obviously a Goliath, he explained. So for any company to try to tackle Steam is a very hard battle. We've seen Discord launch their store. We've seen Epic Games launch their store. And thanks to the lawsuit with Apple, we know how much it has cost them to launch this battle against Steam. Steam is doing an awesome job, but they have different values. I'm not sure what their mission is and what they stand for, but certainly we can do more for classic retro and modern classics in terms of accessibility, in terms of discoverability, but it's not a competition in the fullest sense because you don't want to wrestle with Goliath, right? You need to have a different idea. And I think this is where GOG is going to be incredibly successful. One of the biggest weaknesses that's been happening with Steam has been the massive amount of censorship happening on that storefront and platform. And I've been covering that since July of last year. And it really is a sore sight to see, where people can no longer access the kind of content they want to play or the curated list of games that they were expecting to play in the first place. Regardless of whatever you feel about that kind of content, the thing is there is a market for it and people are willing to pay. And GOG has gone around and done the opposite of what Steam has. Instead of censoring and removing games, they've turned around and said, here are going to be the games that we're promoting on our platform. And it worked. People have been moving to GOG over in droves. There are some concerns though, simply because GOG does not get newer games. They basically just focus on older classic titles and keeping them fresh and up to date. And on top of that, the GOG Galaxy app needs a hell of a lot of work. I mean, a lot of work. Even though it's pretty good, there are some issues there that could really be fixed and ironed out. So that friction that has with customers doesn't help at all. But the thing is, if GOG can put things together, then they can really provide a niche where customers can go and use them as an alternative. And I think this is exactly the one piece that a company that we've seen try to compete with Steam as well may be really needing to hear. And that is Xbox. Because according to Windows Central Gaming, free game giveaways helped the Epic Games Store reach millions of players, but they also changed how players spend. Is Xbox doomed to make the same mistake on PC? This has been my biggest concern with all of this, especially with Microsoft stating that their next console is going to be practically a PC. You've seen it with the Asus Xbox ROG Ally X being the prototype of what the Xbox Magnus is going to be. And I did a review on that handheld as well. If you want to check it out, it's right here. Pretty good device, but has a lot of UI issues and concerns that I think are going to bring the device down as well. The thing is though, the article goes into more depth about what's actually happening with Epic, Microsoft, and even Steam as they're fighting for your dollar in the coming platform war. The article starts off by saying this: the Epic Games Store launched in 2018 and immediately tried to take the market share from Steam by offering developers a better revenue split and by locking down exclusive releases. That approach did little to win over players, and Epic has since moved away from it, but does still provide a better revenue split. It's easy to point and laugh at Epic here, but the platform does, or at least did, offer a worse overall experience than Steam in almost every way. It launched without many basic features, and while it has spent years filling in those gaps for some users, it has all come too late. And that article is exactly correct as a proper warning sign for Xbox about what's been happening with Epic Games versus Steam. Take a look at this graph right over here. Yeah, it's going to be kind of shocking when you see what it actually represents. That blue line going up is the total number of Epic Games Store users, increasing 173% over those 6 years. However, that red line that has a trend going down is actually third-party game revenue of every single game being put on that storefront, literally showcasing to everyone saying this: you can put your game on Epic, but nobody's going to go there to buy it. What people are in fact doing are going to the Epic Game Store, logging in, getting their free game, and then logging right out, just having it attached to their account as a backlog saver. And then on top of that, what's happening is the entire usage of the Epic Store launcher is not to actually buy games or have a good community base. What they're using it for is simply just to play Fortnite. And the storefront just basically became secondary as all of this, basically trying to capture people who play Fortnite in the first place to move over and buy a game on the Epic Games Store since they're already there. The thing is though, nobody's doing that. Even by offering a free game, even by offering exclusivity on that platform, you're literally generating zero revenue. I mean, look at the line. It can't go any lower. In fact, it probably can go lower. But the thing is, it goes to show that exclusivity does not dictate proper sales of anything. All that it does is go to show that the PC user is more than capable and willing to either A, wait out the actual time length, B, go through and just pirate the game if they need to, or C, not even play the game at all, and that company gets no money whatsoever. And I think this is the big crux that Microsoft has to fix, because if they're going to try and compete with Steam directly by launching the next console and even competing in the platform space via operating systems, you're going to see Microsoft have to make major moves to coerce the customer to using the Xbox PC app rather than to use Steam. And honestly, right now, it's not great. It's really not great. I've had a lot of videos talking about this app specifically and what it can do to be better. But when you compare to something like Steam Big Picture Mode, it really is just far and beyond not enough to compete with Steam directly. The amount of UI issues, the concerns you have with Xbox Game Pass increasing in price and everything else across the board. And even then, you can see those glaring issues occur with the Xbox ROG Ally and Ally X, where the majority of the time you're better off not even using the game mode, but instead just having it launched directly through Steam in the first place and having that be the default app you have when you boot up the actual device, basically avoiding Xbox altogether. And it's going to be difficult for Microsoft too, simply because it turns out Steam broke another record. According to Eurogamer, Steam Blast passed the 42 million concurrent users as its sustained growth continues. Yep, so they broke a record a couple of days ago and they broke it again the other day as well. So now we're seeing more users flock to Steam rather than trying to move to any other service as well. And this is a major concern because we've seen Xbox do stupid things before and continue to do dumb things as well, like increase the price of Game Pass and also increase the price of PC Game Pass. Even though Microsoft is the biggest publisher on PlayStation and PC Game Pass saw a 45% year-over-year growth, which seemed great at the time back in May of last year, but the problem is it won't be sustainable if prices keep increasing and Xbox and Microsoft don't do something to actually satiate customer demand. Remember, Microsoft's biggest competition is not going to be PlayStation, it's not even going to be Valve, it's going to be their own user base and their own customers. Because if this goes through and the next Xbox is in fact a PC, they're going to have to do a lot more to entice players to stay on that ecosystem instead of leaving for Steam. The article continues by saying this: in Xbox's case, the next generation of hardware is expected to support multiple storefronts, including Steam and Epic. For Epic, it has taken a different route by allowing things that Steam does not, such as NFT-based games, and by publicly supporting the use of AI in development. Tim Sweeney's Epic CEO has also criticized Steam for requiring developers to disclose AI usage. If Microsoft and Xbox truly want to compete in the PC gaming space, and it seems like they actually do, there's going to have to be massive changes. Satya Nadella's insane insistence on having Copilot in basically everything and an AI dictate exactly what you need to do is not going to be a good user experience for anyone trying just to play video games. The reason why people love the Steam Deck so much still to this day, even though it is a Linux-based device and still has compatibility issues, is because of its ease of use. You can go ahead and find different ways of fixing the problem, but even then, the way things are presented to you as a user are fixed quickly and on a consistent basis, and that's going to be what Microsoft needs to do. Right now, if you go online and look anything up about Windows and AI, you're going to see people incredibly angry and upset. People saying they're moving to Linux. People saying they don't want that support anymore. People saying that Microsoft is literally fucking everything up. And that's the kind of thing that's going to be hurting them in the long run when they release Magnus as a console or as a hybrid PC as well. You're going to be seeing true competition happen in this space. And it's going to be Steam and Microsoft. And GOG in the background sitting on the sidelines, giving you the best experience of older games on both platforms. Microsoft really needs to get their shit in gear and understand that they can't have this face of not supporting the customer, either by A, quietly fixing everything, or by B, being loud, vocal, and boisterous as to why this is a good thing for customers and consumers, and then prove that it's good for customers and consumers as well. They have to approach this like they approach the 360, giving people something that no one else has right now. And if they incorporate things properly and provide the customer-consumer by saying, hey, look, you've got Game Pass, you've got Steam, you can use us if you want to. We're going to give you the freedom to do what you want to do with your own device and use it in whatever way you want. That is going to be a good first step. But they have to fix a lot of issues with their UI, with how they approach AI, and everything else. And it looks like they may in fact be listening, because they said this the other day. Tom's Hardware reports that Microsoft is to overhaul AI data center buildings with community-first approaches, says it will be a good neighbor to communities, cover energy cost increases, and replenish water. If Microsoft does the one thing that they've almost never done, and that's put the consumer and customer first, you can see a massive swelling change happen with this company over time. But the problem is they have to be consistent about it, and this could just be a long shot in the dark. But the thing is, the Steam machine could be a bigger competitor to not only Xbox, Microsoft, and Nintendo, but also the PlayStation as well, because we're seeing every single company, sans one, put their games onto Steam, and all those games being optimized not only for the Steam Deck, but soon to be the Steam machine as well. And this is how true competition actually begins. If Microsoft really wants to see their user growth increase, people sign up for Game Pass, people use the Xbox PC app, they have to do the one thing that Valve has always done since the very beginning, and put the customer and consumer first. And it looks like GOG is doing that, but in their own specific way. And Microsoft has to do it their way too, because if they don't, they're going to be doomed to fail on this aspect and avenue as well. And it doesn't matter how many trillions of dollars they have. If they don't put that customer and consumer first, the money that they want to come in isn't going to come. It'll go to Valve and Steam instead. But you know what? I want to hear what you guys have to say about this in the comments section down below. Are you going to pick up the new Xbox Magnus? Are you going to stay on consoles like PlayStation or Nintendo? Or are you going to be moving over to the Steam machine or getting your own PC, even with all the insanity happening right now? I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments section down below. And as always, here comes the comment of the day from yesterday's video. David Damasceno 6063 on yesterday's video said this: Jesus, they really want to end the personal computer, don't they? Everything is a conspiracy until it isn't. That's right, David. They called me a madman when I put on the tinfoil hat, but it turns out every conspiracy just has an expiration date. But like I said before, I want to hear what you guys have to say, and if your comment's good enough or gets enough likes, you'll be in the comment of the day. If you want to see more of this kind of content though, more PC port reviews, gaming news, Steam Deck videos, fanboy content, and even live streams every Saturday night, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 105K. And all I have to say is thank you guys so very much. If you want Discord access or most during live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. If you don't want to spend the buck, don't sweat it. Just come on down Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, live right here on the channel, where I stream live in front of 800 people wearing a banana suit and getting insulted with AITTS. Trust me, it's a hell of a show. You don't want to miss it. Saturday nights, live, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, right here on the channel. With all that being said, though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you gooners next time. Peace!